Karachi, Destiny and Hope of a Muhajir by Zarina Usmani Jabbar. Karachi was a city which this Afghan had only heard stories of as a youngster. It was a hot summer morning of June 1984. All I remember from that journey were the nauseating bumpy rides on unpaved and dirt-filled roads, cramped into a tightly filled Suzuki wagon with so many strangers. On that bumpy ride, I filled my thoughts with good memories. My family thought they were only going to visit Karachi so that Babu, my grandmother, would reunite with her son who was coming to visit from America. Once in Karachi, after a long journey of many trials, we stayed with Babu's cousin in his two-bedroom flat. Although space was tight, the husband and wife were very hospitable and welcoming to my family. Shortly after our arrival, Uncle Zahir made it to Karachi. That night we sat next to our beloved uncle, Rona at one side and I on the other side. To our dismay, the lights were out yet again. Later, I found out that this was the norm in Karachi. Asiba, the wife, brought out the kerosene lanterns to set at the center of the eating mat. Mother jumped up to open all the windows in hopes that some kind of wind would blow into the sitting area. There is nothing like eating with a close knit family, sharing stories and jokes around a flickering kerosene lantern in the dark. Once the meal was done and the eating area cleared, all jokes and stories came to an end. My uncle's tone changed from chirpy and upbeat to a more serious stern note. He looked up at his mother, sitting across from him. Babu was a deep and spiritual person, and at that moment she sensed what was coming. Zahir didn't notice Babu's emotions. He continued and reminded her of the dangers in our homeland. He begged and pleaded with his mother and sister to stay in Karachi. I can't bear to hear any more bad news of a family member being sacrificed in this senseless war. Zahir vowed to support us financially for as long as we stayed. That night was filled with deep reflections and thoughts. We all retired to bed early. I laid there looking out into the still sky that was covered by bright shining stars, wondering what was next for us. I didn't understand what to make of the serious conversation that took place, but I knew that life for me was going to take a dramatic shift. I said my prayers and asked Allah to make whatever He had in store for us easy. The next day, the decision was made that we would all stay and start a new life in Karachi. Never did I think that Uncle Zahir, this tall, handsome, and proud looking man, would be the reason that my life would change forever. It was there in Myanmar and then in Johor Square that I got introduced to what really Pakistan and Karachi was all about. Our new home was so different from what I remembered in Afghanistan. There was no yard to play in, but I loved that I lived so high up, on the fifth story in the complex, so much closer to the sky and away from the earth. I looked out from our balcony and thought the people down below were little ants. I imagined how I was their queen directing their patent movements. Eventually, it became a dizzying scene. I would walk up to the roof garden and feel even closer to the beaming sun or the shining stars at night. Roof gardens were my escape, but they also served as sanctuaries for the youngsters and elders alike. During the day, we would run wild with each other, young girls, up there without the prying eyes of parents or other adults. When it rained, my friends and I ran up to the roof garden, where we danced with the raindrops, sang Bollywood melodies, matching the rhythm of the downpour or trickle, and then sit and take in the sandalwood like scent that the rain would leave behind. It was during those moments when I realized why the mitti of one's country had so much value to a native. The smell of dirt stays in the senses forever. I connect the scents and smells of my young life to my identity. Those memories bring inner equanimity in times of tribulation. My childhood memories were formed in Karachi, a destination, yet an embarking point into the many experiences I would face ahead. In 1990, when I migrated to America, where I faced challenges after challenges, my thoughts escaped to those wonderful days with my little friends, the bustling street vendors, and that sweet smell of earth after a downpour of rain. I would remember the peaceful full moon nights when my family and I would go up to the roof garden. Kochi laid out cushions and rugs, and I would help lay out dinner and tea for everyone. The adults would retire to bed early, but we youngsters would stay around late into the night, staring at the stars in the dark sky, sharing stories and jokes until the dim kerosene lantern went out. During the day, everyone happily tended to their normal lives of going to school, work, or just hanging out in the local market with friends, sipping chai. At night, street vendors poured into the streets, blasting fun Bollywood tunes. Families would go out to get ice cream or stroll around without purpose, enjoying life. During those warm summer and spring nights, I would grab Rona by the hand, slowly sneak out of the house while my mother and grandmother lay in bed, then rush down to the streets praying that we wouldn't get caught. My heart would beat hard as we made our way down the dark staircase into the streets. But I didn't care much for the fear. I had stashed away and saved up my allowance for these mini adventures and would combine it with Rona's allowance to make the night eventful. We would run from vendor to vendor, purchasing a cup of Chinese egg drop soup, then rush over to the jalebi stand and gobble the sweet, golden crunchy treats before we would rush back up the long, windy, dark staircase. On our way back to the house, I would make Rona swear and warn her. Mohar and Babu had better not find out. Luckily, we would find Mohar and Babu still lying there asleep when we returned from our mini adventure. While growing up in Karachi, these little moments, experiences, fun filled childhood memories molded my identity. Karachi proved to be a city that was a sanctuary for me, full of pride, love, and hope, and it was an escape for me in my young years. The memories will forever be cherished, and each time I return to the city, it will reawaken my senses of the journeys I took while growing up there. It was a stepping stone to what lay ahead for me, and therefore it was the beginning of my destiny as a Muhajir wherever I went.